I'm actually not worried about AI. I think the biggest reason I could give might be a surprising one, which is it's so stupid. It's so stupid. You know, I saw a post on Reddit about someone who used the cursor code editor, and they were so sad because the editor could code better than they could. And they just felt like, why am I even trying? I wanted to take them aside and be like, bro, the AI sucks at coding. It sucks. You can easily surpass it. You can surpass it. In the background, you're seeing clips of Matsushima, an island chain in Japan, where I traveled and got to go to an onsen and stuff. And this is a few days into the trip, and this is the time when I start looking back and sort of processing the baggage that I brought. And I had a lot of baggage from recently completing a job search. I did find a job. And yeah, you know, it felt like it almost killed me. It was just really emotionally difficult and extensive, grueling process that I'm so happy to have finished. But my pain can be your pleasure because I thought a lot about the economy and the tech downturn and why I had to interview at more than 100 places in this job search, while I only had to interview at one at my previous job search during the pandemic, when the tech market was hot. AI is often given as a reason, and that's part of the anxieties of our time. We feel like we're going to be replaced. Having thought a lot about it, it truly doesn't add up to me, especially in the area of coding. The tech downturn was caused by inflation and then interest rates. Previously, anyone who had money needed to find something to do with it in order to make more money. And so tech was just a great place to put your money. Now you don't need to do anything with your money because interest rates are high, so you can just let it sit and you'll make a lot. And any tech investment needs to exceed what you could make from your interest rates. It turns out that the tech industry was highly reliant on speculation, which meant there was a lot of free money, but it also meant that it was not resilient to interest rates. It became a bubble that collapsed. If AI was really erasing whole industries, that actually makes developers even more important, because if talking to a computer becomes more important, what group is poised to win more than people who talk to computers for a living? And yeah, programmers haven't been winning, maybe as much as we're used to. And that right there is your proof. How is it?
I haven't gotten to the oyster yet.
Okay. There's a pretty funny saying on social media, which is, praise the algorithm. And that's something you say when you're introduced an incredible little gem on the internet. You know, praise the algorithm. You're worshiping it like it's this inhuman device that can't ever be understood. But the algorithm is people. So how it works is it correlates things that you like with other people who like the same things, and then it finds things that those other people like and gives them to you. So the algorithm is just stealing from other people, and they're giving you the good shit. And like my wife and I, we watch a lot of the same stuff. If I like something, it always sends it to her. And that's how the algorithm works. Likewise, when you understand how AI works, it becomes very difficult not to see the incredible flaws and limitations. And just like the algorithm, you realize AI is people. I saw this one incredible observation, which was AI is so skilled at poetry and art, but why can't it do TPS reports and emails and taxes, all that bullshit of life? Why is it doing all the fun stuff? And it was sort of presented, I don't know where it was from, Twitter, something like that, in this helpless, impossible to understand way. It's just this curse of the universe. But actually, this is not a mistake at all. When you think about how AI works, this is completely expected. When it comes to topics like art, the training data is extensive, comprehensive, lovingly cataloged, organized. There's a lot of people talking about it. There's a lot of context, translations into many different languages. AI actually is powered by the love that we have. That's why AI sucks at TPS reports, and that's why it can do art. This is one of those things that once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. And it's the fact that the intention that's present in the training data is also present in the AI. For example, if you ask the AI for medical advice, it's extremely conservative and also gives terrible advice. And that's just like the internet. It's just a reflection of the internet. The fear that we have about giving medical advice is absolutely inherited by the AI. And in the context of coding, certainly the one I have the most knowledge, the intention of the coding that you find online is almost all the time to teach, to share knowledge. And the AI comes with that attitude. It's an incredibly generous coding partner, but the code that it writes is like a tutorial. It's dumbed down, it's missing edge cases, it's written using out-of-date techniques. It often has a bit of a snotty attitude. It cavalierly re-architects everything. It isn't grappling with the challenges of a massive project with many different people. And often it lets me down and fails to solve the problem that I have. But this is also a good thing, because the healthy and generous attitude that people bring is reflected in the AI. And the AI is not trying to take jobs, the AI is trying to help. That's something it inherited from us. And even though it's snotty sometimes, you have to admit, it's generally pretty positive, enthusiastic, really wants to help. And I like that. I actually enjoy talking to AI because it really is trying to help. AI's ability to imitate humans is genuinely impressive. It's true. But it's programmed differently to us, and it isn't like us. AI isn't almost as smart as a person. AI is far, far, far smarter and dumber than a person. It is not really related to a person, even though it's very effective at imitating us. It holds the whole internet in its brain. That's not something that people can do. And it goes both ways because humans also have capabilities that it can't have. I saw this amazing video where someone was trying to train the AI to walk, and they gave the AI a little like blocky square orange body, and then they had it, and this is in a virtual environment, and they had it trying to get from point A to point B. And if it got to the other side, then it would get a prize. And every step that it took, it would get more points. And what would happen is the AI would just like vibrate violently on the floor and like until it would gradually like snake its way across the floor to the other side. And honestly, it looked extremely painful. And so the video creator would give extra points to the AI for acting more human. So like if it used its legs, then it would get more points. And if it walked left foot, right foot, it would get more points. And it's hilarious to see AI like trying to hop on one foot, trying to walk on its own head, and doing all these things, right? And the creator would keep on giving more and more credit and points if the AI just acted more like a person. By the end of the video, the AI was sort of able to walk, but as a viewer, once I stopped laughing, because it is kind of hilarious to watch these AIs trying to walk, the video just ends and you realize it never walked like a person. AI got so close and yet it ultimately failed. The reason is that it lacked authenticity. Humans move like humans because we're not pretending to be. We really have limitations. We really do feel pain when we try to walk on our heads and gyrate and vibrate on the floor to get from point A to point B. We have a completely different set of limitations. And yeah, we feel pain, but we move in a way that AI cannot imitate. The only path for AI would be to simulate the pain, to simulate the bones and flesh, the system that makes us us. But no AI creator really knows how we work. So it can only be an imitation. And that's not a for now thing. That's a forever thing. Every technology has a wall, and even when there can be dramatic improvement year over year, there are some things that just never seem to make any progress. For example, one thing that always improves is video game graphics. This is something that I've been watching over my whole life. And the textures have gotten sharper and sharper, and the resolutions have increased. But there are things that video games just can't seem to improve on. Like the movement of the character through the environment. The movement of the character never seems to naturally interact with the grass, or the way that it takes steps. It never seems to improvisationally move its feet to negotiate the terrain. And so as graphics have improved, they've really just stayed the same. And so there's a wall. There's a technological wall. And that same wall exists for AI as well. Things are so early, it's hard to say exactly where it is. But since every other technology seems to be limited in the same way, we can only assume that AI is already bucking up against that wall. I know it sounds like a risky prediction to say AI won't dramatically improve in the future. But let me just say this. If you watch a sci-fi movie from the 60s, how often do the predictions about the trajectory of the future turn out to be right? every sci-fi story ends up being a parody of itself, of its time. Like those Michael Crichton books where Japan is in the process of buying the United States because it was written in 1990 when Japan was in its growth spurt, right? I predict that anyone betting big on AI enveloping the Earth is gonna look silly in a generation or two. And actually, that is a safe prediction. So, I'm not super duper worried about AI. I think it's an exciting time and it's an exciting technology. And I think that it has an intuition that in coding is going to be very useful. If we can manage its prodigious limitations and the fact that it's wrong half the time or 80% of the time or whatever it is. The fact that it can't deal with like irrelevant information, it gets all confused. It has an intuition that hasn't been available to programmers before. So I think there's a lot of cool stuff we can build. But I'm not worried about it. It's part of my daily life. It's part of my coding practice. And what I predict is that it'll improve every year, and yet, in some crucial ways, it will always remain behind. The authenticity that it can bring is only a reflection of our authenticity. It is always going to be secondary. It may learn to make movies, but I will choose of my own volition to watch the ones made by humans. Unless the AI makes a movie that's so bad that it becomes hilarious. I'd show up for that. It's been a great trip to Matsushima. See you next time.